Nothing yet. We'll see. Yeah, I have 1 comment, 2 shares, 8 viewers. Sweet.
All right, are we live?
We're live, I think.
We're live on the internet,
think
talking
we're
about
live.
protector skis.
We're live.
If anybody is checking in right now, maybe just drop us a comment if the audio is okay. This is the first time we're trying this, and we're trying with 2 separate mics via a couple devices, so let us know how the audio sounds. I think we have a backup if the audio is not great.
Yeah.
But
Sweet.
anyway.
Yeah. We're here. We did it.
We're here.
Let's get chatting.
Maybe we could just hang out just for a second and let everybody sort of funnel in. I was going to see if I could get the chat going here.
Yeah, I have it just right here. It's a little small. Sweet.
Right,
Cool. Well, yeah, throw a thumbs up if you can hear me and Taylor okay and we look okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool.
Well, I guess either no one's watching or the audio's okay. So, anyway, if you guys don't know who we are, I am Taylor, aka TeleTay, General Manager here at Freeheel Life. And with me today is Miles.
Yep. I'm running the shop manager here at Freeheel Life. Kind of taking the role of where Tay was, and yeah, it's been fun.
So, was this through the first official season as shop manager?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anyway, so I guess where should we start with this Freeheel Life Protector Ski project? First of all, we have a Protector 95 and a Protector 105. So this is a pair of the 95s. These are fresh, without any bindings on them. That's a brand new pair of skis, ready to be mounted. And the 105, this is one of the 105s that we pressed like first part of May. And I had the pleasure of taking that pair to Switzerland, which was super fun. And then got maybe 3 days here in the Wasatch before now.
Yep.
Anyway, so what is it with Freeheel Life Protector skis? What's the story behind them? Basically, like, Freeheel Life has always wanted to be making things for Telemark skiers. I think the reality of that morphed into, now through our 7th year in business, we sort of focused a lot on the retail store, which I think is fine. You know, that was kind of just like the priority that we had with what time and energy we could spend on Freeheel Life stuff. And so 2015, we actually made some Freeheel Life skis. So that pair of wood veneer top sheets, it's an old Freeheel Life switchblade of mine, which was one of our models. And that was basically made by Todd, who has a custom ski shop down the street from us, with our logos and branding on them and stuff. That was super small run, like super limited edition. You know, I think the idea was there, but maybe the timing wasn't quite right. So we did one season of those with 3 models: the Switchblade, the Rude Boy, and the 801. Then 2017, we did another run of Freeheel Life skis. We did the Switchblade, Rude Boy, and 801 again. That time was with a couple more wild graphics there. The Switchblade and the Rude Boy and the 801 in 2017 were pretty much a similar fashion, where Todd built them for us. And we had some cool pieces of art done and sold another super small batch of those. And then that was, unfortunately, kind of building skis was put on the back burner until 2020, 2020 was like December of 2020, I think is when the sort of idea for the protectors started forming a little bit, because I got the original pair of kind of prototypes, which these skis are absolutely hammered at this point. I pretty much use these every day for 2 straight seasons. Really like this pair of skis, and it was probably, I don't know how many days I had on these before I decided that it was like time to put this in Josh's ear, the owner of Freeheel Life, that we should probably look into making skis again. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. However many days it was on these, I knew instantly that these skis were really good.
Wasn't a lot.
Wasn't a lot. Didn't take too much time for me. Granted, this pair of skis was totally ripped off. Actually, little secret topic. They were totally ripped off of that pair with the kind of moon and skull. That's got a Freeheel Life 801 graphic on it. Really, it's like a early prototype of a ski we didn't even know was going to be a protector. So camber profile, side cut, and kind of just that overall basic shape was really based on that ski. So this pair was 100 underfoot. This was a really fun ski for me, where this was just that ski that I grabbed and didn't really think about weather conditions or snow conditions. I kind of just grabbed them and went. So I started skiing those, and we said, hey, these are actually really pretty good. You know,
let's make
maybe
a couple
we
more.
should make a couple extra pair, because, like, I personally really like that ski, but it was not quite the right layup for everybody, I think.
No, I definitely saw that. It was like, it's like, for me, liking a little bit of a softer ski. Maybe it was a little stiff for me, but that's when we started making more prototypes, different versions, and then that's when we kind of found that perfect medium.
I mean, that kind of makes like sense. Like you have to go through a couple versions of, you know, building a ski, because, you know, what was interesting is, so when we started that, when we had that first pair of prototypes, then it was like a couple months of Josh and I talking through this project of like, well, where do we start? Because we wanted to build the protectors like in-house. Mm-hmm. You know, we wanted to do it differently than we had in the past, where we hired a custom ski builder to build these skis for us, versus the protector was kind of like, hey Todd, will you sort of show us some of these processes and guide us through this, and, you know, help us out with a couple
teach
of
us,
processes.
Show us the way, and
yeah, exactly. So that was very different, and, you know, it was basically a year from now that, you know, we were on the phone with people, you know, or I was on the phone with people calling about the protector skis, and we sort of did like a soft release, and it was like at that point we had gone through and built, like, you know, I actually like did the layup on, you know, the second pair of prototypes, and like went through all the, because
it was that late winter, spring after you made your skis, or you had that whole season, and then we started making the proto versions that spring, kind of end of season. We had those couple different versions.
That was maybe like March, I think.
Like February, March-ish, and then we were all bouncing back and forth on those, all of us skiing them, and we kind of all realized like, hey, we should do this. Let's make it happen, and these are sweet.
So you know, we bought a table saw to start ripping wood down to build ski cores, and Stuart had added each little bit of the machines for a ski factory. I mean, it is a ski factory. I'm proud of us. It's also like kind of cracks me up as to like how good of a ski that comes out of, like, you know, the small scale that we're building these at.
Oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
It's like, it's the scale and maybe the processes are small, but they're not really that different than any other big brand ski manufacturer. Like, certainly, like, you can have, you know, big brand ski manufacturer might have more money for better tools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
I think it's just as far as mass is, like, for every 10 pairs of skis someone makes, is we're making one, or even 100 pairs of skis someone makes, we're making a couple, you know,
I mean,
which is what makes it pretty cool.
You know, and that small batch aspect of it, I think, is just super cool. Where we can do that. It's really hands on, and I mean, like a pair of skis that we slap our name on that says Freeheel Life like that.
Oh,
there's Freeheel Life in that,
So, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that kind of went through. We did last season. We did a pre-order just like we're doing again this year. But for everybody that bought them last year, that was like purely on faith and belief and wanting to support us, which like we were more than grateful for. But the people this year, potentially, and some of the names I've seen from the pre-orders in batch one, like I know they came and demoed a pair this year, which like that's cool because they know they like it versus
for sure.
they just are trusting us. Now I think that's okay to trust us within reason.
Or they skied one of our skis when we were on a trip, or we were somewhere and they jumped on them for a lap or whatever it may have been. It's pretty cool to see it just since from last year, definitely bigger with more people on them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was really good to finally get people on these skis. And so, when we're making these pre-sale calls, I think we did 37 pair of skis got into customers' hands. And it was really like Josh and I had to make the call of we sort of had to cut off the pre-order because I was very confident in our ability to do one pair. I just had not seen the process repeated and repeated and repeated to get to 40 pairs with our demo skis and 37 in customers' hands. And, that was nerve-wracking. And then mounting them up was a little bit nerve-wracking. And then, ultimately when someone finally got them on snow, it was like, okay, the moment of truth of do they like what we made? And, it was pretty good to get the feedback from everybody last year. I think, we've spent enough time on these and enough time on other brands and shapes and styles to kind of know what we think works really good for a Telemark skier. But every tele skier is totally unique, so we have to keep that in mind as well.
Cool.
Do you have any questions or anything yet?
Yeah, we got a question from John Brewer.
Okay.
He says, how do you ensure repeatability between your skis? Quality control is a common manufacturing term for this. Can be hard for smaller batches. Any feedback from owners? Great question.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that was something that we talked about a lot, was how do we make 40 pairs of that ski in different sizes that are all the same, up to standard. I mean, quality control is, I think that's probably one of our bigger things we kind of harp on with these skis is hand built to spec. Every process right here is, I think pretty dialed.
Last year, a lot of Josh, but Josh, myself, and Nate, who was working on this project. I mean, as we were working through every step of like even cutting the fabric, it's like cutting a 150 mil by 187 length sheet of fiberglass. It's like, I mean, as much as we could dummy proof everything, where currently it's not a lot of us back there making these, but it's like you'd probably laugh as to like how like the marks on where we cut something is color coordinated, and when we're clamping cores, it's like I have a bunch of buckets with 8 clamps, I think, in it. So it's like, and there's a spot on each table that's marked where it's just clamp goes here, clamp goes here, clamp goes here. And I think what was interesting about kind of going through that process is, personally, I think that had to change my mindset a little bit about, like, manufacturing is a totally different, like, business model.
Sure.
It's like, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on retail because I was managing the retail store here for, several years. And then as I'm taking on this new role of GM, dealing with, letting you take the retail store, but now I'm dealing with the other stuff and looking at that manufacturing process of like, yeah, exactly. How do we do that the same every single time? What are our checkpoints? And, I think just being honest, it's like, yeah, like these skis are, they're $1,000 skis for a reason, not only of the time that goes into them, the materials that go into them, but also like the checkpoints that we have of, you know, unfortunately we do have like, you know, scraps of like, you know, that piece of sidewall didn't even make it past the stage of getting glued to a core. You know, there are errors and stuff like that, I think, with any manufacturing. And there were a couple B grade skis that came out last year, but, you know, that's going to kind of happen in any manufacturing. And, you know, that turned into, that was, you know, a demo ski that we had to rebuild for somebody where it was like totally functional ski. It's just, you know, I didn't really feel like a B grade is warranted of, you know, the price point that you're paying for these. So
yeah, I think one thing to add to that is kind of how we quality control it. Is that, I mean, me, you, Nate, Josh, whoever is back there building skis, we all know the processes start to finish, and we've all done the processes. I mean, we've all done each step, and we know how each step works, which is really cool. Where if we all can kind of hold each other accountable, where we know how each step goes, we know what the standard is, where maybe a question or, hey, can you come help me with this, like things like that is really cool, because we have such a good relationship and experience where we've all been doing it, we all know what it takes, and which is definitely pretty cool, where we're all there, and it's not necessarily one guy knows one process, one guy knows one, as we all kind of know the steps and things like that, which is pretty cool.
So hopefully that kind of gives you some insight into our thoughts on quality control and stuff. And, you know, I mean, for me, I really just feel a sort of passion about Freeheel Life stuff, where like I'm proud of our brand and proud of the name, and I don't want to let something leave the store with our name on it that wasn't up to our standard.
For sure. He said the mistakes B grade are really the only way to build the process. Glad to know this is part of it.
Yeah, no,
of course.
I mean, we definitely have screwed up stuff, but that is part of the learning process.
I mean, we definitely didn't make 1 through 37 all perfect, ready to go out the door. I mean, but making those B grade and mistake skis, we learned from it. We learned what to fix and what to tweak, and I think, you learn from your mistakes. It's pretty
we made some
straight up. So
I think what was fun last year too, when we did a smaller number, I mean, like our number this year that we're shooting for is we want to build 100 pair of skis, so that's basically tripling production. I think what we learned last year with a smaller controlled batch is some of where the things went wrong, and then also like just as you do things more and more, you get better at them, and you learn. You know, there's this one little trick to, you know, either just finish it just a little bit cleaner, or just save yourself 2 minutes on that one process. And I mean, that's part of that learning process last year, was allowing us to be confident in the ability to, you know, increase production by a substantial amount. You know, it's still like, you know, there's a lot of brands that make probably 100 skis a day or more. You know, but for us, like that's a big step. And you know, it was super cool to see people getting them on snow last year. Anything else in the chat, or should we go through some of the maybe DM'd questions?
You have a French translation that says, I've been telemarking for over 20 years. Heck yeah, it's awesome. Wouldn't be here without you, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure. We did, we've been kind of feeling for some questions or concerns, or even just things that people want to say on the live stream. So I know Tay's got some from Instagram. I have a couple from emails here we can kind of go over. So yeah, if you want to start one.
I think I had maybe your email ones.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
So somebody asked, how do I decide between the 95 and the 105? So maybe Miles, I'll let you take that one, and I'll go find the Instagram message. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, great. It's a hard decision, especially for that person who is maybe looking for one ski to have, and that's it. Where, you know, maybe they're not quite as lucky as me and you, who can have 4 or 5 pairs of skis floating around, where it's a big decision to have either that 95 underfoot or a 105 underfoot. For me, it really has a big factor on what you ski, where you ski, you know, how many we all love powder skiing, but truly how many days of powder skiing do we get? Things like that. I think that 105, 95 is also just kind of your personal preference of maybe what you've been on before, where I've always kind of been on a little bit of a bigger ski, 105, 106, 107. I really like that size, as
Yeah,
well
but it's
as
also like you ski out
very
here
familiar. Yeah.
we're very blessed with a lot of snow.
Yep.
Which means, that's kind of the same of like that pair of 105s up there is my personal pair, and I opted for the 105 kind of for that same reason where it's like, we don't get that many like firm days.
Yeah.
And
But then again, is like when I was out at the Midwest Telefest, I took a pair of the 95s with me, and it was, I mean, for where we were skiing, we got a little bit of a lucky week, but it was a perfect underfoot where it still had that little bit of a wider tip and for those softer days. But I mean, definitely, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting point because I would just add that I think sometimes it's, or at least personally, I think I would rather be on a narrower ski on a deep day than a fat ski on a firm day.
Yeah.
And I think that 105 underfoot range, like, there's definitely some ski underfoot. Like, the shape of the protector is, like, I was kind of using the word, like, modern, traditional.
Yeah.
Where it definitely has some side cut and it definitely has effective edge. Where it's like, if you can just lever that 105 up onto edge, it's going to really grip up very similarly. It's just kind of slower edge to edge.
For sure.
Also wider skis underfoot, like, they do require a little more out of the skier. It's like,
yeah.
And that 95 underfoot, it's like
just easy.
It's kind of like,
quick and nimble.
Unless we're skiing like 2 feet of completely blower powder, like you're probably gonna have a pretty good time on that. And I think, especially with the protectors too, of kind of the flex profile on them, it's kind of like a medium flex. The tip is definitely soft enough to, in softer snow, it's like Josh and I were looking at videos of us skiing on them the other day, and it was like pretty obvious that like you could see that tip act with that early tip rise, but the dampness that we build into that with that layer of flax and then the fiberglass up there does give that ski a little bit more grip this way. So it's like soft if we're softer in the tip if we just flex it like normal ski shop flexing, and then it's stout enough torsionally that on firmer snow it does hook up pretty good. On that note, it's more of, these are definitely more all mountain skis. Like the 95 is not necessarily like a carving ski with like a flat tail and like
stiff
a couple sheets of metal, but doesn't mean you can't turn them.
No, for sure. And I think for me it was interesting to be on a 95 ski as much as I was on those protector 95s this year, where never really skied a ski smaller than 100 underfoot, and it was definitely fun and almost like changed it up for me a little bit, where it is very quick to get that ski side to side and get that ski up on edge, but it never felt too narrow, if that makes sense, where it's not enough ski.
So I don't know. In summary of that question, it basically is, do I ski slightly more soft snow or slightly more firm snow?
Yeah, yep, for sure.
That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Yep.
Anything else in the chat? Otherwise, I got another one from Instagram.
Yeah, John is coming from a cross-country background, learning the Telemark technique. I have access to a lot of backcountry with variable conditions. Some years great, other years like this one, kind of lean. Would the protector be a good choice as an all-around Telemark ski for someone learning the techniques?
Yeah, I mean, the protector is like, I would not necessarily call it a demanding ski.
Yeah.
Like the final version of the flex that we went with is relatively easy to maneuver at slow speeds, but you can go fast on it. Like the original black pair was a lot more stout, where at slower speeds it took a lot more effort to move the ski. It was like that ski kind of wanted to go fast, where just like you were just pushing on it a little bit harder, and if you were going fast, that was great, but if you weren't, like that was not really
needed a little more out of you.
Yeah, and like the protector is certainly a ski that we're capable of slapping a set of skins on. maybe the 9,500 foot would be a good option for kind of a backcountry ski, just because it's a little narrower, a little more versatile. I mean, it's still 125 in the tip, so it's definitely got some trouble up there. But the 95 is just a little bit lighter because it's a less ski. These are like, depending on what length, obviously, for weight, but the 184 95 is about 1,850 grams, so not quite like a backcountry ski, like, you know, maybe like a Voile or something. That's another brand we carry.
Yeah, kind of somewhere in the middle.
But, you know, they're like medium weight, sort of. I mean, we kind of designed them to ski the resort because I think for a lot of us, the majority of our skiing is in the resort. And it's not that I don't want to go in the backcountry, but so it's kind of like Protector's, like, it's not going to kill you on the skin track, but it's not like a super light ski designed for backcountry skiing. It's really supposed to be an all mountain ski.
Yeah, like when I was in the Midwest, we had a little backcountry day before the resort opened up, and I took those 95s out because I just wanted to ski them. I didn't necessarily want a lighter ski for the uphill. I wanted the Protector for the downhill. So it's like,
I mean, it depends on what
if you want to,
objectives are.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking for long journeys where you need that little bit of a lighter setup, not the best ski, but I think that's kind of where we designed that ski and geared it to, like you said, for that resort. So
all right, let's switch a question up here. Jack from Instagram says, how do they compare to the Bishop Chedi? Okay, so that's another ski, kind of like almost like in our realm a little bit. Bishop makes Telemark skis. Freeheel Life makes Telemark skis. There's a couple other brands that are sort of starting to make Telemark skis again, which I think is cool. As far as like construction wise of the Chedi, which is also a ski we have sold, construction wise, it's totally different wood. It's a poplar wood core in the Chedi, and it's a majority ash. There's a little bit of poplar stringer in the Protectors, but so the Protector's a little harder wood, which in my opinion is better for a couple things. One being mounting. Telemark skiers, obviously, we're trying to like basically pull nails out of the ski, you know, when we're dropping a knee, and hardwood, more dense, more solid, is going to just be better. I mean, you can feel them like when you mount skis of how soft or how hard that wood is. The shape is definitely different. The Chedi's 100 underfoot. The Protectors are either slightly narrower or slightly wider than that. The Chedi has a lot of camber.
Yep, I was just going to say that.
It makes it fun and poppy. Like if you push it on the Chedi, it kind of pushes back at you a little bit.
A little bouncy.
It's kind of bouncy. I don't know off the top of my head weight-wise, but I'd imagine the Chedi might be
probably
similar,
very close.
maybe slightly lighter. I would definitely say the Chedi's softer.
Yeah.
Which is maybe not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but just different.
Preferences.
The Protectors are not, again, they're not crazy stout, stiff skis, but they are stiffer than a Chedi. Turn radius is a little bit shorter on the Protectors. The camber profile, I mean, we can kind of show off the camber profile here, but camber profile on these, I would say maybe similar as far as the tip profile goes, but tail on the Protector has a little more rise, so I feel like you can kind of like slide the Protector sideways if you have to. Now that's really not a lot of tail rise and really not a lot of tip rise, but it does the trick where you kind of have that balance of I'm, not skiing a full camber ski. I do get the kind of benefit of a modern shape with early rise tip, but it's not so extreme that I lose a lot of that ski.
Yeah.
And I mean, then the next thing with the Bishops is how they're made. There's a real big ski and snowboard factory in Denver that Bishop gets those skis from, and we made them here.
Made them right back there.
Bishop's kind of doing it the way that we used to do it, pay someone else to build them, and the Protector is built by us.
By us.
So that is one difference for sure. Let's see, where are the skis made? Literally like 100 feet from us.
Yep. Well, I think with that one too is like, where are they made? They are made here, and everything that we get for those skis is also made here, as far as maybe different states, but it is still made here in the U.S. And that's why those skis say made in the U.S. on the bottom of them, which is something that's pretty cool.
They were
So
built right in Salt Lake City. And what type of skier is it made for? Kind of just anybody that tele skis,
whoever can get
handle it. I think we really did find a nice sweet spot where, if it's your first day on skis, like, I guess you can just ski it. That might be a little much of a ski for your first, it's not like a beginner rental ski, like, by any means. But, it's like, my dad is 62 and cruises groomers on them, and I want to ski anything off-piste on them, fast, like, there's broad range in between there where, we'd love to, give us a call. We love chatting about these things, obviously. Sure. So give us a call. We can kind of talk through your personal situation. But
yeah, I think with that too is like kind of who are they built for. I think it really kind of also goes back to that, where are you skiing? Where do you like to ski, stuff like that. So yeah. Cool.
Anything else going on in the chat? Or
nothing in the chat.
I got one more question here of how is the protector different from my beloved Voiles? Okay, that's fine. We're pretty familiar with the Voile stuff. We've carried Voile stuff in the retail store for 6 years, something like that. First off, the protectors are heavier.
Yep.
Now, that could be a good or a bad thing. If you're doing 70% of your winter in the backcountry, like, you can still talk to us about a Voile ski. I think they make a good backcountry ski.
Yeah.
Depends on what model. They have a few more models than we do. But like, I would probably most compare the protectors to the Ultra Vector and the Supercharger from Voile.
Yeah.
Partly because they're about the same waist width. Partly the kind of general profile is relatively similar. Now, I think it's kind of generally relatively similar to a lot of modern skis where there's a little bit of tip rise, there's camber underfoot, a slightly flatter tail with maybe just a little bit of, kind of turn up rise at the end where, as you do get that ski on edge, it'll grip up until you kind of want to kick that tail out.
I mean, different cores, different wood inside, which is where that Voile is lighter and kind of made for more backcountry. And then we got ours that are a little bit more resort oriented, a little bit heavier, like you said.
Yeah, so, and weight is, it's bad if we're hiking it uphill, but weight is honestly pretty good going downhill because it just means it's going to be more stable going through variable snow. Maybe there's a certain limit for somebody or just a preference. I mean, some people might just like to be on lighter skis because, they can whip around really quick. I personally have been a really fan of the protector weight range where it's like,
kind of in the middle.
1900 gram range where it's like light enough where it feels fun and light and poppy, but it's also stable enough.
For sure.
We could talk about the construction or if there's any other questions. I'm
for
happy
sure.
to take a stab at any of those.
Heck yeah. John just says, didn't realize you guys were an SLC. I'm just up in North Logan. Would love to come down and let you put together a rig for me. Heck yeah. It's pretty, I think that's kind of a fun thing that we talk about a lot of. We've been here now for, next year will be 8.
Yeah, we'll
year
be
8.
going into number 8.
We've been here in Salt Lake, and it's kind of been the one and only shop here. We've never really moved or had different spots, and it's fun to see. I mean, one kind of go down a quick thing of, it's fun to see all the different people that come in that maybe they've lived 5 minutes down the street and they've never known we were here, which is super cool. And
maybe that's a good and a bad thing on the marketing front, but yeah, I think, well, John, come down and see us.
Yeah.
We're here sparingly in the summer
Yeah.
ish, or sparingly to sell things, I guess. We've been working, but
Yep.
we don't really have a lot of inventory right now, so maybe come see us in the fall.
See us closer to October, November.
Get you hooked up on whatever you might be looking for. But
cool. Sweet. Yeah, we'll see if any more come in real quick. And
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could just loop back to some of the prototype skis too. Like, this was kind of fun. This was actually, this is, I guess, technically the updated graphic of the Switchblade from Freeheel Life, which was a 9,500 foot stiff carving ski. We just used this little top sheet on. This was the first proto, or second proto, I guess. That was the first pair of protos, and then this was the second pair of protos of the 105.
Yep.
And then we made one other version with another top sheet on it, and ultimately landed on this one again.
Yep.
So that is really a production layup. So what goes into the layup? Skis are built of wood, carbon, fiberglass, plastic, metal. That's pretty much it, and then a bunch of glue. So we use an ash and a poplar wood core. So it's multiple pieces of wood, 2 pieces of poplar, 2 pieces of ash, 2 pieces of ABS sidewall, which is a plastic, glued together, gets profiled down to have side cut and the overall flex profile of the ski. The bases are Durasurf 4001 plastic, which is actually a pretty durable base material. We live in the Rocky Mountains here, so it's good to have a stick of BTEX in the garage, or you gotta know your tune shop sometimes.
The Rocky
That's a
Mountains.
pretty durable base material. It has one, durability versus it takes a little while to get wax to really start holding in those 4001 bases, but the durability I think is worth just having to wax your skis a couple extra times just to get them nice and saturated. It's a hardened steel edge that is cut to length and pre-bent to the shape of the CNC piece of base material. Then we go
big ski sandwich
of carbon, fiberglass, wood core, fiberglass, carbon, and the top sheet. And all those layers are mixed with a bunch of epoxy resin and put in a ski press, which is a lot of pressure and heat. They come out together as a ski sandwich. Then Nate gets all suited up in his safety equipment and cuts the sandwich apart on a bandsaw, which then gets us kind of a rough outline of the ski. Then all the other finishing bits the sidewalls are routed down to give them a little bevel, and they're taken to a tuning machine to get off all the little excess bits of epoxy, and then ultimately put that finished tune on it. But it sounds quick when I just talk about going from
it does.
all the things that go into it to make a ski sandwich, and then ultimately get them drilled up with some bindings and on the mountain.
Yeah.
But it takes us some work, so that's why we're starting to get some pre-sales for these, so we can start working on these. And we're I think as of today we maybe have 2 or 3, maybe less, maybe 1 or 2 pair of the 184 lengths of the 105 and the 95, either or. I don't know the inventory off the top of my head. But batch number 1 was for 25 skis. We're opening these batches just to kind of control the production a little bit easier, where we can focus on 25 skis at a time and then move on to the second batch. So we're pretty close to getting batch 1 in the press and getting those sort of wrapped up, and then we'll be getting batch 2 ready to open. So if you were looking for a 174, I think all of those in batch 1 are since spoken for, or 164. and batch 2 will re-up the inventory, and you guys can get after it. So
Yep. For sure.
I think we said we were gonna go till 2:15. We're gonna do like 45 minutes on here.
For sure.
So,
Cool.
We got a couple more minutes.
John, we can definitely get you set up on what package you decide to go with, NTN 75, whatever that may be, for sure. To wrap up, I'll ask Taylor a question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite part about the protectors?
Favorite part about the protectors, I'll answer that in 2 ways.
Okay.
One way of when I am skiing them, I feel like they just sort of do what I want. The ski is damp, so when I'm in choppy snow, I feel like I know where that ski is. Like if I'm in my turn, I can feel where that ski is at, and I know it's going to be there. I can go fast on them. I can make a lot of shorter turns on them if I want to. I think that was really cool about the flex profile, where it's like it's stable enough to go fast, but it's flexible enough to bend it. You know, it's like the 184 has a 21.3 turn radius, which is like a static measurement, and then if I flex that ski, all of a sudden that side cut radius changes, and I can make a lot shorter turns. So I can kind of they really were, that first pair of prototypes was just my go-to, and I just skied them. And this next set of 105s that we pressed this month, like I'm super stoked for next winter, where it's just I'm just gonna grab them and go. And the second part of what I'm so happy with about the protectors, or whatever my favorite part, whatever the question was, is it was very cool to be on a pair of skis that like we made. You know, that was like honestly, I kind of had a tear in my eye the first time I got those on snow, because it was just like, okay, from everything, you know, bases up to the top sheet, like that was done by us. You know, we went through the processes, we learned how to do it, and they ski good, and I was proud to be on something we made. I would say that might be my favorite part of it.
For sure.
Honest. They ski good, which is fun, but just I think it's really cool that we had so much involvement in that process.
Yeah, I mean, I think to wrap that up is these skis behind us would not be possible without you guys that are watching this, that are following us, shooting us emails, talking to us, things like that. And that's, I mean, really we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you guys for everything, and thanks for joining us on a little live Q&A. We'll be definitely doing more of these, so stay tuned.
That was fun.
I had fun for sure.
If you guys like that, thank you. If you missed it, if you're not listening to us right now, we'll be posting this as a recording. So thanks again. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for those of you that shot us some Instagram messages and emails and such, because you couldn't make it at the 1 p.m. afternoon live stream. But cool. Thank you, and we would love to get all you out there on a pair of protector skis at some point. So if you think next winter is the year, give us a call, shoot us an email. Miles and I will be here this summer, ready to walk you through a decision on what length, what width, you know, what binding to put on them, whatever that may be. And I guess we can call it there. So
sweet.
TeleTay signing off.
Me and Tay are out.
Spread Telemark always. We'll see you later, protectors in the turns.